Guten Abend.
Nice.
Michael, welcome back.
Thank you so much. It's great to be back.
That's nice to hear. How are you?
I'm getting over a very serious strain of COVID, and it's mostly over, but I have a little bit of tickle in my throat, and that's just the way it is. So I'm going to be coughing a little bit, but I'm not choking to death, so it's good. Good.
Okay, good to know. Let me call you Mr. Restless. I saw you have been in Harlem. You have been on the record fair, and tomorrow you're going to Warsaw. Damn it, man.
Got to keep busy. You got to keep busy.
Yeah.
Got to keep moving.
Yeah.
You know?
And to get right at it, and in between, you're producing a record?
Yes, it's produced. It actually happened. Yeah. It happened. So last January, I went to a place called the Clavier House, which is a small piano repair facility. They sell used pianos that they repair, and they have their performance space right in their location. So it seats about 50 people, and every once in a while they have an event there. And a friend of mine, Jim Luce, is a concert promoter. And when COVID hit, he had to stop promoting concerts, and he had no business, and it was kind of rough on him. So last January, he decided to start up slowly in New York City with an event called the New York City Jazz Piano Marathon. And my friend Robin Wyatt and I decided to go to this event on a cold Saturday in January to help support Jim's event. So we go, and they have a beautiful Fazioli grand piano there. And young people sat down and played jazz piano, and there were some very good ones. And it was uneventful in the sense that they were competent. And then all of a sudden, the bassist Rufus Reid comes in. I've known Rufus Reid. I don't know him personally, but I mean, I know his recordings, and he did a few recordings for Nouvelle Records, and he was with Thad Jones, and you'll see his name on a variety of jazz records. And he comes with his bass to a piano event, and he sits down, sets up his bass, and then Jim Luce, the promoter, gets up and says, I've known Rufus a really long time. And I said to Rufus, who's the new cat? Who's the next guy that's going to come along in jazz and show us something? And then Rufus introduced Kalen Cardello. I never heard of Kalen Cardello. He's a young man, about 20 years old. He sits down at the piano with Rufus. They look at each other, and they start playing. And after the first number, I said to my friend Robin, who imports Miyajima Labs cartridges to America, and I'm friends with him. I said, this should have been recorded. I mean, that was I've sat through a lot of jazz concerts, and that was amazing. And he said, it is being recorded. Our friend Duke Marcos is back there recording this whole thing. So as the concert went on, it was more impressive song by song. And at one point, Rufus said, Kalen and I never played together. Okay. I've been watching Kalen's growth, and I decided it was time for us to play together. And so I thought this event would be a good place for us to sit down and play together. So an hour before the show, we sat down and we picked a bunch of tunes that we both like. And here we are doing it. Wow. And that made it even more amazing. And when it was over, I was determined to if this recording was good, to put this out on vinyl. Yeah. So I went over to Rufus and I said, Rufus, that was amazing. Kalen,
so he also knew who you are. He knew you.
Reasonably good. And he said, all right, we'll work out the deal. And Kalen said he was up for it too. So then I went backstage, and there was a group.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
What did that person not get?
I don't know, and I don't know who that was. Maybe a male Siri.
Oh, that came in, and it said It was the person. I didn't get that. Can you repeat that? I don't know if it's Siri. Let me how do I get rid of Siri here? That was ridiculous.
That was spooky, but best ignore it.
Yeah, let me ignore that. Let's just ignore that. So I was going to answer the question. You know, that's like when Siri says, you know, walk into a door and break your nose, I do it. So we go backstage, and there's Duke Marcos, who I know because he's done some events with my friend Robin, recorded some records for Robin. And Duke says, I'm recording 6 channels of 96K 24-bit digital. Now, it's a digital recording because that's what it is. And you know, people say, why didn't you do it on analog tape? Well, I didn't even know I was doing it. You know, never mind. And Duke, a very good engineer. Duke has done a lot of live recordings for WBGO, which is a jazz station in Newark, a very good jazz station. And he's done recordings for the Kennedy Center. He's a very good engineer. And the whole thing was also videoed. So Duke says to the video guy, I want to introduce you to my friend Michael Fremer. Without losing a beat, the guy goes, Michael Fremer, WBCN, 1974. So he knew me from the radio. So it was like one of these, this was meant to happen. So Duke said it came out really, really good, and he would send me some files and let me know. Yeah. So he sent me a rough mix, and it was really good, really, really good. So we went back and forth for a few weeks with different equalizations to get the thing to sound really good on my speakers. Hey, I'm paying for it. I wanted it to sound good on my speakers, you know? So very selfish, but we got it to a really good point. And then I said, you know, placing these just two instruments, just a bass and a piano, I want this to really be placed correctly. Who would know that better than anybody but Joe Harley? So I sent the tone poet the files, and I said, what do you think, Joe? And Joe came back with suggestions for how to set up the soundstage where the instruments belong. And there was some separation of the left and right hand of Kalen's piano. And I don't really like it when it's a piano recording where you're the pianist and the left hand is on the left side and the right hand is on the right side, and you're looking down at the piano. I hate that. I want to be in the audience. So Joe gave us some really great suggestions for layering the left and right hand of the piano so it stays on the left side where the piano is, but it's separated so the left side is further back in space than the right side.
So that you have a realistic size of the piano, right? And not this overblown.
Yes. Yes. And so Joe came back with suggestions, and Duke took care of that. And finally, we felt we had a really good mix, both in terms of the timbral balance of the instruments and of the placement of where things were. And so just on a lark, I said, you know, let me send it to Bob Ludwig and see what he thinks, see if he likes it. So I sent it to Bob, and Bob got back to me and said, you know what? I think in 3 or 4 years, everyone's going to know who this kid is. And I want to master this for you as one of your final projects.
Nice.
Yeah, well, so, you know, when Robin and I decided we were going to do this, we said, we're not doing this for the money. We're doing this because it should be done. People should hear this. We'll put the money into it, whatever it costs, and hopefully we'll break even. Maybe we'll make some money. Maybe we won't. We're going to do this and have fun, which we are having the most fun. So Bob said he'd master it for us. And, you know, the money added up, and then we decided we're going to have Chad do the cutting on the TML cutting system, which will give it a nice...
Is this the Doug Sachs cut that he bought from Doug Sachs? Is this wow?
That's what
all tubes, right? It's all tubes.
The tube cutting system. Yep. Cool. And Matthew Luthans did the cutting, and Matthew's a very good cutting engineer who's worked with Kevin Gray, and they're friends, and they work together. So he did the cutting, and after Bob mastered it, you know, it was good when Bob got it, but when it came back from Bob, I couldn't tell you what Bob did to it. I couldn't say, oh, he did that. I don't know what he did, but it came back that much better and just like finished. You know what I mean? And
in one take. It was one take, and it was that good.
It was good when we sent it to him because we worked on it a lot. But when it came back, he gave us a complete high resolution 9624 cutting master that had no compression. It's whatever was on that file, full dynamic range. He gave us a CD cutting master. He gave us a streaming master. We have not yet done a streaming deal yet, because that's a whole separate deal we have to do with Rufus and Kalen, and we want to get this out of the way first.
Yeah.
So we got test lacquers that sounded great, and then Chad plated it and sent it back to us, and test pressing sounded wonderful. We got a really good artist to do the jackets.
Finally we can see it. Okay, wait a second, I make you big now.
Yeah. So it's got kind of a Blue Note vibe to it.
Yes, this 2-color, yeah.
And that's a picture that that Robin took with his iPhone at the event.
Okay. Yeah, iPhone is we laugh now, but iPhone has an amazing camera. Come
yes.
on. Yeah.
And so some people complained and said, well, why is it the back of Rufus's head? You know, and that's because that's where we were sitting when we listened to the show. We didn't walk around. And Rufus was fine with that. So and then Stoughton Press did the tip-on jackets.
Nice.
And you know, the record is pressed on 180-gram QRP vinyl, and yesterday Kalen came over and signed my copy to me, and signed about 25 copies of the vinyl record that we're going to bring down to the Capitol Audio Fest and sell with his yes, at the Capitol Audio Fest. 25 copies will be signed by Kalen, because he signed them already. And Robin said, well, Michael, you can sign them too. And you know what? Listen, I'm not the musician. I don't. If somebody wants me to sign it, I will. But I don't. I think Kalen signing it is really what it's about.
I get that. Yeah, I get that.
And Kalen signed about 50 CDs of it. See, you know what CDs are? There's like this little thing. So he signed a bunch of it. Okay. Yes, because we made a deal with Kalen. We said, Kalen, we'll make 500 CDs for you that you can sell at your gigs, and we'll just give them to you, and that's our payment to you, and we will take a chance at putting out this record and spending a considerable amount of money to do it. And they were good. They were both good with that. So here's the backstory of the whole thing. That's so amazing. I knew nothing about Kalen, and for some reason I did not go online and look him up. I didn't know who he was, but it's actually better that way. So then I went to an event in New York at OMA, you know, Oswald Mills Audio. They had an event for Christian McBride, who had a new album coming out on Mac Avenue Records, and I went to that event, and Christian was there with Sirius XM radio. A jazz guy was there, and they did a live interview with Christian, and that was fun. And I'm sitting there with the New York Jazz Cognoscenti, who were all like about 20 guys were there from the Jazz Foundation, all these different people. And I turned to them and I said, hey, any of you guys ever hear of Kalen Cardello? And one guy turns in and says, they all turned around and said, oh, Kalen. Kalen, yeah. You know, somebody's going to sign Kalen. And I said, well, I didn't sign him, but I'm putting out his first record. And they were like, you are? I said, yeah, I am. And I told them what had happened. And then it turns out that Kalen had gone to this jazz young person's jazz program that Christian McBride's wife had started. His wife, Melissa, had started. And he's been a student. He was a student there when he was 11 years old. And Christian and his wife had been following Kalen since he was 11 years old. And I didn't know any of this when I got started to do this. And, you know, I love the fact that Robin and I are sitting there just listening to somebody we never heard of. And we heard it, you know?
Yeah, it seems to be that when you have been a visitor at this concert, that you have been quite fond of what you have heard.
Yeah.
And then making the next step and saying, come on, I put this one out. Hey, amazing. And now you're there. All right. The street day in the United States is the 1st of November, if I'm not mistaken, right?
It's going to be like the 3rd, you know, it'll be, but they said that logistically the 3rd is the day they should start shipping it. But
but you already can pre-order, right?
Yeah.
And I am very pleased that I can offer it here in Europe also on my shop. This is of course amazing. It's also already on the website since today. Already sold some copies before we started the stream. Yeah, we put it on at 7 o'clock and already. Yeah, but of course, I mean, also it's probably great music, but the connection to the name Michael Fremer when it comes to audiophile collectors, of course, it's a brand, and yeah, I'm eager to hear it. What has Michael done now?
Yeah.
Of course, of course.
You know, it's
No
we
doubt about
streamed
that.
we streamed the first track is streaming on YouTube right now. And
Mhm.
even through YouTube, you can hear how good it sounds. People have commented how good it sounds, and it sounds wonderful. Yeah. Oh, see, it proves that digital is great. Okay, let's take a few steps back. So yes, digital recording today has gotten very, very good. Nonetheless, I still maintain if you have an analog tape from the analog era, it's going to sound better when it's cut from the analog tape. And this gets proven over and over again.
Okay. I tend to agree, Mr. Fremer. But I think we had this topic 1.5 years ago, right?
Yes, yes, we did.
And as long as you're open with it, as long as you're open with the source, all fine.
Yes. You know, I just reviewed, this is a wonderful Tom Waits record, Swordfish Trombones.
Yes.
Great record. One amazing recording. I mean, it is really a fantastic recording. The original pressing of this is spectacular in every way. And the reissue that just came out, and Tom and his wife Kathleen supervised this, but they had Chris Bellman digitize the tape at 192 24-bit, and the record was cut by Alex Arbash at AA Mastering, and it doesn't sound that good. It's not. The best way to listen to this now is either the original pressing or the 192 24-bit stream that Chris Bellman produced from the master tape sounds better than this record. That's just a fact. So,
are we getting a sparse code? What is a sparse code on the jacket or insert for this? I don't understand this question.
He wants the sparse code. He wants this record that I'm putting out to say on it, digital recording, digital mix, converted to analog. But I'm not going to do that because I don't think I need to, because I'm telling everybody what it is. It's a digital recording. And what's great about it is when you listen to this record, properly equalized, properly mastered, properly handled by everybody along the line, it can sound great. Now, would it have sounded better if we had a tape recorder there? I don't know. Probably, maybe. I don't know.
But how much do you think the effect of doing it on Doug Sack's old system, on the tube system, has been? What do you think? Did it have a big effect?
I'd have to do it over again someplace else to find out.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Of course. Yeah, right.
However, it was the right choice only in the sense that it sounds. You know who Tom? Tom Fine. So Tom Fine is Robert Fine's and Wilma Cozart Fine's son, and from Mercury Records. And he heard a copy of this record and said it was one of the finest sounding piano recordings he's ever heard.
And piano is so often the most disappointing part when it comes to jazz records, right?
Yeah.
There are also some blue notes, especially some Hancocks, where I would wish, hey, come on, give it a little more flesh. For me, there's sometimes something missing. It seems to be quite difficult to do it really good, a piano.
Rudy had trouble with piano sometimes. Some of them are good, but a lot of them just have a kind of closed in kind of that kind of sound and just boxy sound. But Duke knew how to mic a piano. When you hear this, he knew where to put the microphones. He had good microphones. The audience sounds good. The clapping sounds good. It's a three-dimensional space that you're in, and it sounds remarkably close to what it sounded like sitting there live. I mean, I'm not trying to hype this thing. It's not as good as live, but it's a close enough facsimile. I've played this so many times, and I brought it to Harlem to the Making Vinyl event, and I played it for many engineers and mastering engineers. Played the first side of the record, and when it was over, they applauded like it was happening live. They really liked it. And the music the kid isn't, I shouldn't call him a kid, but he's really talented, and he'll make you feel good. It's a Bill Evans-y kind of vibe, you know. So let's just hope that in 20 years he's not a washed out drug addict, you know.
Let's hope for the. I agree, but maybe not.
Like that, but no, he's a solid kid.
Matsu would like to know if it's also available in Japan.
At this point, no. You know, we pressed a few thousand copies, and to see how it does, and if it does well, we'll press more. And you know, getting the jackets is the tough part at this point.
Yeah.
I think
if you take Stoughton, it always is.
Yeah.
Leland wants to know about the festival you played, the Lacquer. How was the reception?
I played the Lacquer at the Munich show last, and people loved it. I mean, they really loved it, and they wanted to know when it was coming out. That's how good it was. And the record sounds remarkably similar to the Lacquer. It did not lose hardly anything. I was totally surprised. I said, well, the Lacquer sounds great, but how's the final record going to sound? It's very close. So,
will you be at the Tokyo Audio Show and bring the records?
No, I'm not doing the Tokyo show because I'm doing the Warsaw show. And after the Warsaw show, I'm going home so I can recover.
Yes, Jefferson, those are the Stoughton
Yes,
jackets.
these are Stoughton jackets and tip-on jacket. And the liner, I had this really great writer do the annotation. It's this guy, Michael Fremer, who loves talking about himself. You know, it's really one of those egotistical maniacs. And he actually wrote the liner notes for his own record because I figured, who else should do it?
Oh, Joe says thank you for identifying the exile.
Yeah. Hey, Joe. Joe wanted to buy me a hard liquor drink in the middle of the afternoon. And I said, no, Joe, just get me some iced tea. That's fine.
That's how we know Joe.
Yeah. You know, that was so much fun going to that event because a lot of people recognized me and came up to me and, you know, they were just really nice.
I can imagine.
And, you know, one guy said, you changed my life. I mean, it's just
yeah, if you made them a vinyl collector, you for sure changed their life.
I have a friend who's a plastic surgeon, and he said, damn, no one's ever. Oh, this plastic surgeon was with me at Axpona, and somebody came up to me, but his hand on my shoulder said, you changed my life. And he said, damn, I'm a plastic surgeon. No one's ever said that to me. and, you know, Michael, I never got into this I got into this just to promote vinyl, you know, not to promote myself, but somehow it's, I don't know, whatever.
It went how it went, right? If that's the
exactly.
term.
It wasn't like a 10-year plan, believe me, because, you know, Joe Harley and I, in the 1990s, Joe Harley and I used to sit around and say, you know, and vinyl was going away at that point. It was dying on the vine. And both of us said, you know, if we could only get young people to hear it, if we get them to hear it, I think they'd want it. They would like this. They would like the experience of having this full-size thing and having the liner notes. And what it sounds like, there's something about the sound. If we can make that happen, it could happen. But how's that going to happen? And David Chesky said to me, Fremer, you should rent a U-Haul and fill it with hi-fi equipment and travel around to colleges and contact the music departments and set up a system and play records for people. And I said, okay, David, who's paying for that? Are you going to pay for that? Because I can't pay for that. That never happened. But, you know, this whole thing happened because a lot of people got involved, and it's a community.
That's true. But do you remember a certain point in time, and if so, when was it, that you thought, damn, we did it, it's coming back? Wow.
Yeah, I'll tell you the first time that happened to me. I was at the Princeton Record Exchange, which is a record store in Princeton, obviously, and there were these college students, young girls holding up a Sufjan Stevens record. I think it was Illinois. You know the record Illinois? It's a wonderful record. His original cover had Superman on it, and the Superman estate forced them to put a sticker on it covering Superman because he didn't have the copyright to Superman. Anyway, they were holding up the record, and I went over there and I said, you know, girls, that record sounds a lot better than the CD. And they looked at me and they said, we know that. That's what I knew. I said,
okay.
I'm way behind the times, you know, and you can look at the date that record came out. That's when I said, okay, done deal.
Okay, another question from Leland, but a nice one. I love it. What do you think about the new Stones album, Michael?
I haven't heard it yet because I'm so busy reviewing the records that have showed up here on my door that I have to get reviewed. It's on my list. I don't even have a copy, so I've got to get a copy of it, but I don't have it yet. But you know what? In all honesty, what excites me more than that are new music by young people. You know, I mean, I love the Stones. I've got all the Stones albums, and I saw them live in 1965. They played my college gymnasium.
Oh, that was a good time seeing them. Better than 2023, right?
Yeah, especially because in my college, nobody screamed and yelled. They were, you know, they were dressed in ties and jackets, and after each song, it was like, you know,
that's nice.
So you actually heard stuff.
Okay.
I've seen them live numerous times, and I followed the whole career, and I love them. And I'll get the record, and I'll review it. But there's so much here that I have to review that I haven't reviewed yet.
Yeah, but that shows to read between the lines, and now let me be your interpreter. You're not that eager to hear it, right? If you would be, you already would have heard it, huh?
I've been told, you know, I have this young man, Malachi, writing for me, who's he's like the kid I never had. He's like the grandchild I never had. He's like the best friend I never had when I was his age because I was a total nerd and had no friends. I mean,
yes, the good taste in music that you never had.
And his taste in music is unbelievable. And his knowledge base has exceeded my knowledge base at this point. Okay. I mean, yeah, oh, absolutely. And I say that. And he said, it's okay. It's auto-tuned. You know, you can hear that Mick's voice has been auto-tuned, and he said it's okay. And he's usually right. And, you know, the best thing I get from him is we both play the same music, and we both send back and forth our sonic assessment of things. And his ears at 18, you know, I mean, I don't claim to have the physical properties of his ears, but I have the experience, and we both hear things exactly the same. We played the Swordfish trombone stream and the record, compared notes. We heard it exactly the same way. So as long as I got that going for me, I'm not going to take people calling, well, you're an old guy and you can't hear anymore. That's, you know, whatever. But speak louder. I can't hear you. You know, I don't care. I don't care about those people.
Yeah.
He said it's okay. He didn't say it's great. He said it's okay.
But yeah, it's a big event in a way, but that's it. And I'm not that eager for myself too. I will see what I will do.
There have been too many disappointing Stones albums coming out. You know, they did that all analog one that Don Was produced, and it didn't even sound that good. You know, it just proves that if it's not a good recording, I don't care whether it's analog or digital, it's not going to be good.
Yeah.
And that wasn't, for whatever reason, wasn't a good recording.
Yeah, you cannot do the magic always, right? Yeah, there is another topic I would love to ask you.
Okay.
Because you are one of the very, very few people so far who had the privilege, and when I read your article you wrote about it, of listening to the Asia UHQR test pressing.
Yes. So the first thing I'll tell you is that, you know, I didn't give a great review to Pretzel Logic.
No, you didn't. And
that was difficult to do because, you know, Chad is the biggest advertiser on my website. Let's be honest. And yet I had to, you know, I said to my business partners, I'm giving this a pretty not such a great review because it's not great. I said, and Chad's going to be very upset with me, which he was. You can't imagine what went on. I said, but what'll happen is if I say it's great and people buy it and hear it's not so great, which most people found that to be the case, then my credibility is shot and people are going to go, oh, look, he advertises on Fremer's site. Fremer said it's good. We can't take his word for anything. I said, then if Asia comes out and it's great and I say it's great, no one's going to believe me. So I gave it a less than positive review, and it was the right call because I don't know what went on there, but Asia is great. It is better. I have the AA pressing. I have the AB pressing. I've got all the different, I've got multiple copies of it. So I've got the hot stamper, the cold stamper, the non-stamper, whatever I've got all of them.
Whatever stamper there is, you have it.
And look, first of all, whatever stamper it is, Deacon Blues is it's 7 minutes at the end of a side. You know what happens at the end of a side? The high frequencies are gonna slowly roll off. It's what happens with records. It's more noticeable on some records than others. But if you know Deacon Blues and you've played that record over and over again on whatever pressing you got, and you hear this one where it takes up a whole side at 45 RPM and it's not cut that far in, you'll hear it so much better. And it came out great. And another thing happened that was interesting. There was on LinkedIn, now I don't want to get into a mobile fidelity fight, but I had to do this because Sean Britton from MoFi published on LinkedIn 2 weeks ago. He said, it was like in 1991 we released the SACD of Gaucho, and we cut it. We made that SACD from the 3M digital master tape of Gaucho. And I said, wait a second. As far as I know, that's an analog recording. What is he talking about? So before I posted anything on there, I don't want to get into a MoFi fight, but I also want to get the facts out. Always want to get the facts out. So I contacted Bob Ludwig, who mastered the original Gaucho, and I had Fred Kaplan contact Donald Fagen, who had been in the hospital with a kidney infection, but he was out. So I got the word from Bob Ludwig and Donald Fagen, which is who you want to get the word from on Gaucho. And Bob said the original master tape was a 1/4-inch Dolby A tape. That was the original master tape, analog tape. He said, however, when Roger Nichols got a hold of a 3M digital machine, he archived everything onto that machine. So he had a copy of all the analog tape on the 3M digital machine. So I contacted Sean and I said, Sean, you mastered it not from the digital master tape. You mastered it from a digital backup of the original analog tape. And you ought to make that clear, because what's going to happen is people are going to find that, and then all of this nonsense is going to start over again that we really don't want to have happen.
No, please not.
However, Donald Fagen told me some really interesting things that you'll really like to hear, but I'm not going to tell you about them now, because when Gaucho comes out, I will put them in my review. I'm going to, okay. But you'll
so we have to wait a bit.
You have to wait a bit, yeah. But it's really interesting stuff.
Okay, cool.
Anyway,
cool.
The
Asia, would you say that this is so far your best listening experience when it comes to the Asia?
No doubt. Better than the Cisco one, which I gave a great review to, but in retrospect, I shouldn't have given it a great review to, because they overloaded the bass way too much. Sure. No, this is by far the best. When you hear Wayne Shorter's solo, it's like, wow, that's saxophone. Yeah. All the work they put in. And look, Bernie mastered the original, and Bernie mastered this, and he nailed this one. It's you'll say it was worth $150 for the best Asia. And all the work that went into that, it's great. There's not a bad track on it.
I'm so happy to hear it, because this is such an exciting release. I mean, Asia, come on, can't get much better. Right?
I'll say, if it doesn't sound better on your system, it's your system. That's all I can tell you. It's so much cleaner. Everything, the decay of instruments into that UHQR black. I mean, you'll hear things decay. You'll hear little details that you didn't hear before. I mean, I hear those things now, and yeah, it's the best Asia that you'll hear. And I'm not just saying it because Chad pays the bills on my site, because I've proven that that's not what drives
me. As you have proven with the pretzel, yes. Although I don't agree with the 7. But okay.
With what?
It's not a 7. It's an 8.
Okay. I just wanted to get the point across that it ain't $150 record, I don't think. And the original sounds good. It's very hard to beat a Bob Ludwig master.
All the originals sound quite good. But also, true. When it comes to my favorite for now, my personal favorite for now, I haven't listened to the Asia because I don't have it yet, is the Can't Buy a Thrill. The Can't Buy a Thrill is also fantastic, the UHQR, in my opinion. Fantastic job.
Yeah.
Of course, I can't wait for the Asia because in a way, this is the most important, the biggest one. Yeah, right.
On your new system, it'll sound really good.
Yeah, I'm quite happy with what Volker did.
Of course, Volker. Listen, man, I've known that guy for decades. He's a great designer and a really nice man. And
Yes,
yeah.
there was a question.
Of course, great wine too.
There was a question for you. I don't find it. Here from Vinyl Joe. Thoughts on the MoFi Eagles Hotel? Probably the
I haven't heard it. I haven't heard it. You know, they don't send me promo records anymore, and I just can't see spending that kind of money so I can report back to readers, because I think if you want that, you'll buy it. I've got an original pressing. I have I think DCC Compact Classics did one. I have the reissue that came out a couple of years ago. I may have even another one. I may have a Japanese pressing. I'm invested heavily in various pressings of it, and I'm just not gonna get that one. So if somebody wants to lend it to me, I'll be happy to. And I don't care if it's.
I share something now that you are here. I share it because just of the nostalgia, what we did 1.5 years ago. Last Saturday, I had a visitor, and he brought his Hotel California One Step, because I don't buy those anymore.
Yeah.
And I put it on, and I didn't say anything. And then he said, "It's great, isn't it?" I said, and then I put on German original. It's problematic.
You know, part of the problem is they tend to equalize things uniquely. And
problematic.
I brought their One Step of Stevie Ray Vaughan, Tin Pan Alley, and I brought Chad's version, and Chad's was cut from the master tape, because at that point in time, Sony would let master tapes out to Sterling. So his was cut from the master tape. And at that point, we didn't know anything about this whole DXD thing. We didn't know it. And I was with Mr. Hold Up Records man with the hat, with Mazzy, and we played both Chad's and the MoFi. And his comment to me, which I don't know whether he'll say it in public, but his comment was, one of them sounds like they pushed in the loudness button. And, when you push in the loudness button to compensate for the Fletcher-Munson curve, which boosts the bass to compensate.
I don't have a loudness button. Yeah.
I don't either. I don't even have tone controls. But, in the old days, the loudness button was there. If you listen to low volumes, the ear tends to lose bass, so it boosts it up. And they tend to do that. And if you listen, I gave a good review to their What's Going On, the Marvin Gaye. I gave a good review to the One Step because it was definitely much better than the original Tom pressing that was not so great. But then Kevin Gray cut it from the original tape.
Thank you. Yeah.
And it's I'm sorry, it's like way better. Yeah. Way better.
And we both said it before the MoFi Tobacco when we compared them.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you one last story, and it's not anybody's fault, but when Classic Records did Bridge Over Troubled Water, and they did a good job of it, and they did the 45 RPM single-sided box, which is amazing, but the song Bridge Over Troubled Water doesn't sound that great. And Roy Halley, who's a friend of mine who engineered that, called me up and said, Michael, that track on that master tape disappeared decades ago, and nobody knows where it is. And what it was replaced with was something, I don't know what generation, but it really doesn't sound, we worked so hard to make that great. It's not that great. And so what the One Step of that demonstrates, that the tape is not good on that track. And somebody contacted me after they got that and said, I got the One Step and it's such a great version. You can actually, for the first time, hear that it's not really strings, that it was a synthesizer playing the strings. And I said, no, it was real strings. But what you're hearing for the first time maybe is that the tape that was used for that track is a bad tape. And if you want to hear that record properly, find an original pressing, an original Columbia pressing, and you'll hear that track as good as it can possibly sound. The rest of it's pretty good. So
Liam wants to know if there are titles from Chad's Atlantic 75 series that you are looking for.
Yes. First of all, Liam, this record is on Liam Records.
See?
The label. And I didn't name it. I didn't name it after you. I named it after my dog, who's Liam.
Beautiful dog.
Is a cardigan Welsh.
People.
It's a cardigan Welsh corgi,
Nice.
which are not the same as the Queen's dog. People don't. They think it's the same breed, but just without the tail. With the tail, totally different breed. They have no genetic material in common at all. So anyway, that's a whole nother story. So it's on the ones I have so far from Chad are the Mingus, Blues and Roots, which is fantastic. I've got an original British pressing of that that was cut by Decca, and this is so much better. It's wonderful.
Really? Okay. Because those British Deccas are amazing records usually. Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting.
So I think I have it. Oh, so here's an original British pressing of it. Fold over, it's the original fold over thing. And it was on London Atlantic. That's how they did it. Okay. And I always thought it sounded great, which it does sound great, but this is way better.
Yeah, and, when I listened to the Mingos, it blew me away. It's wow.
It's great. Yep.
What of course also helps is that it is an amazing record per se. It's fantastic.
Oh yeah. It's turbulent, it's like it expresses what it was like in New York, what it was like in America. Yeah. It's still like that. P.S. It's still like that, but a lot of people have mellowed out, but Mingus was incredible. And also,
did you get the Phil Collins, Michael?
Yeah, I haven't played that yet. I haven't played that. Chad said,
but you have it. That's the most important part, Michael, that you have it because it sells like it's insane. All that record sells.
I know. I was more of a Genesis fan with Peter Gabriel than I wasn't that big of Phil. Phil Collins is okay in my book, but not. I'll play it. Obviously, I'll get to it. But the John Prine, have you played that one?
I have. I've gotten the Prine, and yeah, it's an amazing record. But for me, having this firework of the Mingus, having this amazing Phil Collins, then a man with his guitar, which is a great record. Don't get me wrong, but it's difficult with those three, especially here in Europe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think the Prine is more of an American record.
Yeah, there's some great songs on there, though. I mean, it really it really expresses what it felt like in America in the early 70s, with people coming back from Vietnam and and all the things that he covers, and it was funny. He was witty, and you also realize that everybody's copying Dylan one way or another. They're putting their voice in a certain place, and they're not doing Dylan, but they're, just like today, you play all this rap stuff, and it's all minor key on the same kind of thing. That's what it is.
Helmut Karl Lackner wants to know something from you, and he wants to know your thoughts on Ron McMaster and Mosaic Records vinyl sets.
You know what? I have over here a band that Ron McMaster was in when he was a kid. You want to see the jacket?
Of course we want.
I'm gonna have to get up. I have to get up. So wait 1 second.
Of course.
I don't mind standing up because I'm in good shape.
Look at the man. I sit now. I don't stand. John Prine is what's good about America. Nice comment. Okay, here go.
This band called Public Nuisance features Ron McMaster, and that's Ron McMaster right there.
Okay.
Is that cool?
It's totally cool.
Yeah, let me see if there's another picture here.
How is the record? I don't know the record. How is it? Is it a good record?
Ron McMaster, see it?
Yes, we can see it.
Dashing young man. See what age does to you?
It's so cool. It's so cool when you get older, right?
Well, it hasn't affected. I'm doing just fine. It hasn't affected me at all. Anyway, it's a really good record. It's a kind of a punk rock record.
Okay, cool.
Third Man, Jack White's label.
They put it out. Okay.
So what do I think about Ron McMaster? It's funny because there was a point at which people were over on that forum over there, the Steve Hoffman forum, insisting that Ron McMaster's mastering suite at Capitol does not have a preview head, and that everything that was mastered there was from digital. But that's not true, because I was there, and Ron McMaster has a preview head on his tape machine. I mean, that's not there anymore. They closed that down. But there's so many bad rumors floating around, And Ron has done some good work and some not so good work, but a lot of it is because they did not upgrade that studio in many years. If you listen to Kevin Gray's cuts from Acoustech, which was located at RTI, and compare the same records recut at his new place at Coherent, to me, the new cuts of the same music are so much better, so much cleaner, so much faster, so much more detail. And the 33s cut on his new system sound better than the 45s that were cut on the old system. But if you're looking for a great Ron McMaster cut, I gotta pull it out. I mean, he cut this Cassandra Wilson record.
The Cassandra Wilson.
For Pure Pleasure. I believe he did. I have to go back and double check. I believe he did. And this is a wonderful recording, and I believe he cut it. Let me just double check because yeah, he did. And it's the first time it came out from tape, cut from tape. Sounds great. It's a wonderful record. If you can find a copy on Pure Pleasure. And Pure Pleasure did a lot of good releases in their early days of their label that were cut from tape. Many were cut by Ron. Some were cut by Kevin and Steve. Different people cut. Yeah. And they said so. And later on, they stopped being very particular about who was cutting from what. A lot of them were done at Air Studio, which is fine. But they were American titles, and they were on Sony. And Sony's not even sending tapes any place in America. They're not sending them to...
Yeah, we know already.
Yeah, and
there's a question about your record again, and easy to answer. Is it a 33 or a 45 RPM?
It's 33. And so it's one thing that's really too bad about it is that one of the tracks that they did was a ballad in which Rufus plays arco bass, with his bass string thing there, and it was so beautiful and so moving, but they made a mistake. I didn't hear it. Robin didn't hear it. I guarantee you, if I played that track for you, because I have it, you wouldn't know what the mistake was. But they wouldn't let us put that track out. So
okay.
That's fine. Anyway.
I would say no, but hey, let him answer. Did you by any chance heard the classic records Genesis 45 RPM test pressing?
No, I did not. I mean, I got a lot of stuff from classic records back when Hobson was doing it, test pressings and things, but I didn't get that one. So.
Okay, so let's see if there are more questions.
But I will say that the Who's Next that came out recently is awful.
Are you surprised? Are you surprised, Michael, that it's awful?
No, I'm also not surprised that the review on my previous endeavor said it was great. Oh, sorry.
So how long will you be in Warsaw?
There will be good news on the Who's Next front. There will be really good news. I can't say what it is, but there will be good news coming.
When?
How's that for an enticement?
When?
Not sure. There'll be really good news.
Maybe.
So I'll be in Warsaw on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I leave home on Monday. and I'm going to set up a guy's turntable on Thursday in Warsaw. So I did it from last year, and
that's a privilege.
Well, he's paying for it.
I can imagine. I can imagine.
No,
Why don't you stop? Make a quick. We'll make a quick stop in Düsseldorf, Michael.
I gotta go home. I was invited to go to Florence, Italy afterwards, and tour a factory, but I just have to get home. You know, I got too much work to do here. I've got too much going on. Yeah.
Michael, did you prefer the new 75th Atlantic Prime over the original?
I did. Yeah, I did. But I don't know what other people think. But it's so quiet. It's so clean. The tape's in great shape, and the mastering is wonderful. So yeah, I think it's great. Do you want to get up and turn it over every couple of songs? All right, that's a problem. But I always tell people in our business, it's good to get up and turn a record. It's good to exercise. Get some exercise. Stand up. Turn it over.
Yeah, I so agree. I mean, if you have a problem standing up and turning a record,
you're right.
You are in trouble, in my opinion. If
I don't care how old you are. You're in trouble. If you can't get up.
Exactly.
So I would like to say,
Jazz Bum Chris wants you to set up his Crossley. How much would that be?
I can set up because a suitcase player, and I can polish all the cloth on the outside of it, and I can take blue tack and stick it on the back and lighten the tracking force to maybe at least that will get it down to like 7 grams, and it'll save your records.
Probably.
Try to find a copy of this record. The tape of this is gone.
Yeah. Okay, this is important information. Okay.
Yeah, the tape of this is gone. Yeah. And I actually did find a copy of side 1 when I visited that woman in Portland who had this big tape collection that was from the label that put out all the reissues on tape, did all the duping for Ampex. Found a side 1 at 15 IPS, but couldn't find side 2. But this record, Alto Analog did a version of it from the tape before the Universal Fire. It's on Alto Analog, and if you can find a copy of that, the sound in this record of Ahmad Jamal, it's amazing. It's an incredible record. I played this for Kalen yesterday, and he was blown away by how good it was. And he said to me, "Why didn't you do my record analog? It sounded so much better." No, that's a joke. But this record does. If you can, I found a copy in the Netherlands for $10, and I'm so happy to have it. So look for it.
Yeah, but again, Michael, you don't come to Den Bosch again, not? Or do you come to Den Bosch?
To where?
In November, largest record fair in the world.
Well, I went to the Utrecht Record Fair in the Netherlands about 10 years ago.
Yeah. This is now the new place where it takes place.
You know what?
This is really quite something.
I have no room anymore. I have no room. I'm telling you, I am out of room. I pay $250 a month for a storage space full of records. And so what I have to do is go through that, and I have to get rid of a lot of records. I have to make room for new ones.
Of course, you have to purge.
Yeah, I have to purge.
You have a YouTube channel, right?
Of course.
Make an auction.
Oh, I have no time for that. No,
I'm kidding.
I'm going to take. I bought a collection about 20 years ago. I had a subscription to the New York Philharmonic, and I sat at a really great seat, 20th row center, and the same guy sat next to me at every show because it's a subscription. And he came with a bag of CDs from Tower Records in a yellow bag at every show. And so one show I said to him, I've told this story before. So if you've heard it, I apologize.
Hey,
somebody said after the Jazz Bums event, somebody posted, he sounds like my grandfather. He tells the same stories over and over again. People want to hear the same stories. It's like they reissued Kind of Blue again. Yeah, well, there's a whole generation that never heard Kind of Blue, so they want to have a copy. So I said to him, "You like CDs? I don't really go for CDs. I like records." He goes, "You like records? I got a whole wall of records. You want them, but you got to take them all." And I said, "All right, I'll take them all." So I drove down with a friend of mine, and in a minivan with the seats out. We filled up the entire minivan with records, to the point
I
where
saw a photo of it. Is that possible that you made a photo
yeah,
of the
exactly.
van? I know that.
Yeah, and the car was the van was like this far from hitting the road, so I had to put the four-way blinkers on and drive up the Garden State Parkway at like 40 miles an hour. So a lot of those records are not good records. I mean, they're just historically good, maybe, but I'm never going to play them. So those have to go to Goodwill. That'll make a lot of room for me to have new records, and you know, then I'll have room for more records. Oh, one other. I got to one other story.
I will do.
So
I will search now. I will do it. I need more space for new records.
That's the same guy that sat next to me. One day he said, "Do you want to meet Max Wilcox?" You know who Max Wilcox is?
No.
Max Wilcox was the producer at RCA who did all the piano recordings for Arturo. Having a brain fade. Not Horowitz. What everybody's singing. You know who it is from. Anyway, very famous pianist. It'll come to me. And he said, "You want to meet Max Wilcox?" I said, "I'd love to meet Max Wilcox." So he says, "Okay, at intermission, we'll meet Max Wilcox." So intermission comes. We walk down the aisle because Max had a much better seat than I had. I had a good seat, though. And instead of saying, "Max, I want you to meet Michael Fremer," he goes, "Max, I want you to meet Michael. He's a vinyl guy." And Max Wilcox's head just about exploded. He turned red. He goes, vinyl is the worst thing. I hate it. He's screaming and yelling at me. And it was like, I'm standing there, and,
what have I done?
And I let him finish. And I said, "Well, Max, it was a pleasure to meet you too." And I just walked away. It was like, I wish I had that recorded because it was hilarious. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Nice.
I can't believe I can't remember the guy's name. Come on.
It will come. You know, when I wake up in the morning, I'm happy when I know my own name. And so
I'm happy when I wake up.
And if nothing hurts, you are dead.
That's right. Me. The morning that I wake up and see my obituary, that'll be a sad day.
Yeah, that's true. So, okay, what have we learned so far? No more new records for Michael Fremer.
No, there's more coming. I
get it.
And I bought some records at the FMU record fair. I bought 2 Serge Gainsbourg records. Arthur Rubinstein. Thank you. That's who I was looking for.
James, anyway, no, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. How could I not remember Art? I'm going to blame it on COVID. It's the COVID fog. Yeah. So do you know this record? Let me get one more record. 1 second.
Of course.
You know this record?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's Jane Birkin, and this was Serge Gainsbourg's girlfriend. Yes. And this is a record about a pedophile who had this 14-year-old girlfriend. I mean, it's kind of a seedy story, but it's an amazing recording. And the string arrangements on this are the string arrangements on Beck's Sea Changes.
Okay.
So because Beck's father was friends with the people who were involved in doing this. It's a whole long story. And Beck is friends with his daughter, with their daughter. It's a whole long story. But this is an amazing record. And the stream of it's terrible because the tape's in bad shape. So you got to find like an original. Well,
this is an original.
This is a French second pressing.
Okay.
It's about $80 to get a copy of it. It's not easy to get. Yeah. There was a guy at the FMU record fair with 2 original pressings, and they were $320 a piece. But this sounds as good.
Michael, the originals only know one direction. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
And the same is true of like the classic records. I mean, those are. I
should ask you, Michael, about Jean-Claude Vanier, who did the string arrangement and did an incredible album at the same time.
Yeah, that's tight. I don't know him. I don't know his own record. I guess I have to look for that record. I guess I'm buying another record. I guess that's what's going to happen. This is a wonderful record. So,
okay. Jose Moreno Ram, he said, you would like Arthur Russell if you listen to.
Who is Arthur Russell?
It's an amazing avant-garde.
Is he an arranger?
No, he makes records. This is Stanti and Jose territory, but I know a little stuff from Arthur Russell, and I totally agree. If you want to go on a journey, try it out. You might be surprised.
Okay, this is the problem when you go visit somebody who's got a wall of records, none of which you know, none, and they have totally different taste, and they start pulling things out and playing them for you, and you realize that you should have these records in your collection. That's when you have to say, okay, I've got 10 copies of Joni Mitchell's Clouds with different cover art and different pressings. I've got to get rid of 8 of them or 9 of them and just keep one and make room on the shelf. That's another thing I have to do.
Yeah. Jason says, hi, it was nice meeting you at the WFMU record.
Oh, cool. You're wearing your Devo hat, I see.
Arthur Russell is a New York legend. Disco among minimal created the label Sleeping.
I should know him, right? But I don't. So
Oh,
that's what happens.
Okay, Michael. I can tell from my emails that the people here in Europe really, really like to order your record. Nice.
Excellent. They will enjoy it. Go to the YouTube channel, listen to the first track. That's the first track they did together. I mean, they sat down, they never played together, and there they went. And it's really good. And the comments on the YouTube
it's a bold move, Michael. Honestly, I wouldn't have the balls if I would put out a record. I won't. Don't get me wrong. I would not. I would not put up it on YouTube as a download, because the limitations compared to the vinyl are so big, and that I would be afraid that people, oh no, it doesn't sound that good. And they listen on their cell phone, they listen on their MacBook. It's a difference if you listen it on a decent hi-fi, right? So bold move, but people seems to like it, right?
Somebody said it sounds good on my Bluetooth speaker. So yeah, it sounds good. It really you'd have to work hard to not make this sound bad. That's how good it is. It really is. It came out so good, and you'll hear it on my OMA turntable with the stupid, with the SAT arm, and
So your record will arrive together on my shop with the Asia. What a coincidence!
Yeah, get one of each. Get one of each.
I will, of course.
I'll hold it up one more time. This is it. This is the record.
Show it again, please.
Yeah, and they're playing live at Dizzy's. They're playing live at Dizzy's on November 20th, and I'll be there. We're going to be there. We took a large table, and I'm going to get up before they play and talk for a minute, because I don't want to miss any.
Do a live stream, Michael. We all will watch. Do a live stream on your channel.
I don't know if we can do that. Maybe I don't know.
It would be something. Try it. It would be fun.
Do it on what, on Instagram?
No, on your channel, on your YouTube. You have your tracking angle. YouTube.
Yeah.
Maybe with the cell phone.
On my phone. Yeah. Maybe.
It works.
Yeah.
Do it.
We'll see.
Do it.
We'll see. Anyway, this is really exciting. This is one of those things that Robin and I we did it. It was one of these, I should have done that. That was so good. We did it. And this I think this young man has an incredible future. I think this record is good enough that a major label could pick it up. Wayne Shorter did a record for VJ at the beginning of his career, and a copy of that is $500 now. And this is the beginning of this young man's career.
Very important question. Sorry, you didn't get into that, Stefan. Buy it over at Acoustic Sounds.
Acoustic Sounds. It's at the other two places too, Music Direct and Elusive Disc. And I mention them all because I can't play favorites, but they all have it, and I'm very happy that they're all willing to take it on. And I think it's going to do well. And I think you really enjoy it. The young man is such a lyrical, light touch. He'll make you feel good right away. That's what I noticed right away when he's fearless, and he's doing these runs, and they're all in service of the music. He's not showing off, and you'll just feel good. So, and I think he's got a great future ahead of him. And I'm really proud that Robin and I, said to each other, let's just do this. Whatever it costs, we'll do it. And whatever happens will happen. And we'll see what happens.
About what kind of a time period do we talk here? Is it a year? Is it 8 months? Is it 2 years from the idea to the 1st of November when it comes out?
Well, the recording was January, like early January of this year.
Okay, so almost a year.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
And the artist who did the cover art,
Yeah.
I'll tell you one more quick story, okay? The guy that did
Sure.
the
Sure.
guy
We
that
have
did
all the
art,
time. No
so
problem.
I'm working with Patrick Leonard now. Do you know Patrick Leonard? Of course.
No.
Okay, you know Amused to Death, right?
Yes.
He produced that.
The guy who did the jacket.
No, the guy who produced the record.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Oh.
Patrick Leonard produced, if you look at your copy of Amused to Death, Patrick Leonard and Roger Waters, Patrick Leonard produced it. So Patrick Leonard just finished doing a prog rock record using all 70s era synthesizers. And the bass player is Tony Levin, and he's got Martin Barr from Jethro Tull on it, and Ian Anderson's on it, and other good players. And it's all 70s era synthesizers, and it's an old-fashioned prog rock. It's a double record set. It's heavily produced. It sounds amazing. And Patrick produced a band called Toy Matinee. Some of you may know that band. And Patrick also produced all the early Madonna records. So Patrick made Warner Brothers like $2 billion in the early days of her career. So out of the blue, he calls me. I don't know him. And he introduces himself. And he also did the last 3 Leonard Cohen records, those amazing last 3 Leonard Cohen records.
Yeah.
And he says, I did this prog rock record, and I want to put it out on vinyl because I think that's a good way to get a buzz going, especially because it's kind of like old school prog rock from the 70s. So Bob Ludwig mastered it. It's a digital recording. And I said to Bob, I want to put this out on vinyl. What should I do? So Bob Ludwig said, call Michael Fremer. He knows more about this than I do now. So, it really happened. I'm telling you, Michael. So that's why Patrick called me. And so I helped him get his record cut. So Chris Bellman cut the lacquers at Bernie Grunman's, and it came out really, really good. And he sent me the acetates, and I brought those to Munich, and people in Germany love prog rock. So I played it in one room, and all these 5 guys followed me around to every room I went into to hear it over and over again. So I asked Patrick, who's a good jacket guy, because he sent me some of his jacket work. So this guy didn't do Patrick's jacket, but Patrick recommended this guy, and he did a great job. So Patrick record is going to come out next year, I think, and it's really, really good. If you like prog rock, I'm going to bring it to Warsaw. I'm bringing the lacquers, the acetates to Warsaw tomorrow to play them there. So if you're going to that show, I'm going to play Patrick's new record, it's awesome, really good. Otherwise, nothing's happening in my life. It's pretty boring,
Yeah, sounds. Yeah, come on. Yeah. Take your time.
Fourth quarter surge, baby. I'm just telling you, I don't know how old you are watching me. Don't let your age get in the way of doing stuff. Don't let your age get in the way of trying new stuff and taking on new things, because it's easier. The older you are, the easier it is. You have nothing to lose, really. I'm telling you.
That's true. That's true. No, but still, I really think you're doing an amazing job. And when I see on Instagram where you are, and then every now and then we talk to each other. Oh, no, I cannot do this week because then I am wherever. Yeah. You're always somewhere. It's impressive and amazing to see.
I have to give a speech. I have to roast Bill Lowe from AudioQuest. That's my next thing. I have to go to LA and roast him, and that's going to be a tough one. I roasted Chad, and if you're a Chad fan, you have to watch that roast. You can find it. It's on my old YouTube channel. I should probably post it. It may be on my new YouTube channel also. And the Chad story, it's the truth about Chad's whole history, but I turned him into Moses. And so Chad floats down the Mississippi River on a bed of clarinet reeds and lands in Lafayette, Louisiana, and that's his whole. Anyway, it's a really fun story, and you'd enjoy it. So
watch it. Exactly. Okay, Michael.
That's it.
Thank you so much for being here once more.
Thanks for having me, Michael.
I hope to see you soon. It's always a huge honor and pleasure to see you on my channel.
Hey, come to the Munich show next year.
I will.
I think they're doing something for me there. They told me that I'm doing something there, that they're going to.
I can imagine that they will. And you know what we do? We do a huge party when we finally meet in person. Yeah. It will be unbelievable. They will talk about this in Munich for years.
Okay. I'll hold you to that. Okay.
Yeah, I promise.
Okay. Great talking to you, and
Bye.
thanks to everybody for watching. And
Thank you very much.
see you
It's
around.
been a pleasure.
Okay.
Bye.